Fallen Rosemary, Rita's Quantum Lightning Support Battlesuit. Her leader skill increases the team's total damage when all 3 members are of different types. It also increases the lightning damage of any combo, charged, and ultimate attacks. Her basic attack is melee, deals physical and lightning damage, and has 5 sequences. Fallen Rosemary's unique passive ability, her Volfrey form, enables her to summon Garmer, Lindworm, and Strix. It also increases her total damage dealt and lowers incoming total damage. She can enter this form by using a charge attack when she has at least 100 Dizir. Each basic attack sequence generates Dizir, which maxes out at a value of 200. When in her Volfrey form, her 3rd basic attack will summon Garmer, which will deal lightning damage and restore 10 Dizir. Summoning Garmer also creates an Oof rune, which weakens enemies nearby, lowers their resistance to interruption, and increases the lightning damage they take for 15 seconds. Her 4th basic attack will summon Lindworm, which also deals lightning damage and restores 48 Dizir in total. Summoning Lindworm also creates an Ormor rune, causing nearby enemies to take 50% of attack in lightning damage per second for the next 15 seconds. Normal evasions while Volfrey form is active will summon Strix. Like Garmer and Lindworm, Strix will attack enemies, dealing lightning damage and restoring Dizir. Summoning Strix creates the Strix rune, increasing the lightning damage the team deals by up to 15% and restoring up to 0.5 SP per second for the next 15 seconds. Attacks from the Dizir spirits will fill the paralysis gauge when available. Additionally, when in Volfrey form, Fallen Rosemary's charge attacks will be enhanced. With at least 100 Dizir, she can use God Hunter, summoning Garmer, which deals lightning damage in a wide area around her. At 200 Dizir, she uses God Devourer, which also summons Garmer, but simultaneously creates the Stain of Trickery, lasting 20 seconds and increasing the lightning damage enemies within its area take by 18%. The effect is increased by an additional 5% for every type of rune present. When executing charge attacks, Fallen Rosemary gains a short iframe and pulls enemies towards her. The damage of her charge attacks are also passively increased and have the ability to paralyze enemies hit by it. At SS rank or higher, her charge attacks can also increase the elemental damage dealt by the team. By consuming 100 SP, she is able to use her ultimate skill, Hellvigor, which summons the Trickster. Summoning the Trickster takes 3 seconds, after which the Trickster will begin charging for about 6 seconds, before releasing a lightning attack in a wide area. The attack will trigger a 1-second time fracture and inflict Quantum Implosion on Quantum-type enemies. Runes present when summoning the Trickster will be consumed, and each type of rune will increase the damage dealt by the attack. At SS rank, the attack gains a passive total damage buff. When performing an ultimate evasion, a global time fracture will be triggered. Fallen Rosemary is also able to directly use her 4th basic attack sequence after an ultimate evasion, or when Strix is available. When enemies are knocked airborne or ignited by teammates, Fallen Rosemary's QTE can be triggered, enabling her to enter the field in her Volfrey form, triggering a global time fracture and summoning Garmer, which deals lightning damage in a wide area. She also gains 50 Dizir. In addition to all her abilities, Fallen Rosemary is able to restore 10 Dizir for 0.2 seconds for 2 seconds after entering the Volfrey form. This can only be used once per battle. She's also able to gain 65 Dizir and 12 SP when teammates use a combo or charge attack, but at a 5-second cooldown. When equipping Fallen Rosemary, her signature weapon, Iris of the Dreams, is definitely the most suited weapon, both for her own damage output and her support capabilities. Its active skill has no SP cost and allows her to immediately enter Volfrey form upon use. The active skill will also deal damage to nearby enemies and increase the damage dealt by the Ormor rune. Additionally, she gains a 15% total damage buff for 15 seconds when a charge attack is used. Iris of the Dreams' passive ability increases the lightning damage of Fallen Rosemary's charge and ultimate attacks. It also increases the total damage taken by enemies inflicted by the Stain of Trickery. When equipping Stigmata, her signature set, Irene Adler, is also naturally at the top of the list. The T part increases the host's lightning damage, but also increases the team's elemental damage when the host is off the field. The M part also increases the host's lightning damage and decreases incoming total damage. The B part increases the host's total damage and also applies the Bedazzled debuff onto targets hit by the host's charge attacks or ultimate attacks, causing them to take additional elemental damage for 15 seconds. The duration of this debuff will be refreshed if applied again. The 2-set ability for Irene Adler further increases the total damage of the host and the elemental damage taken by Bedazzled enemies. And finally, the 3-set ability increases the team's lightning damage dealt for 20 seconds after the host's charge attack or QTE hits a target. When equipped on Rita, her total damage is increased by 25%. Alternatively, the full set of Jingshen Tan or Fu Hua Margrave make great alternative support options. Due to the amount of time needed for her to fully apply her debuffs, support equipment with lower debuff durations like Mei Beach Party M or Isaac Newton B are not ideal. Fallen Rosemary fits well in any team with an elemental DPS, but more so if the DPS is lightning elemental. Secondary supports with longer lasting debuffs like Azure Imperia with the Fu Hua Margrave set will actually fit the setup better. Phantom Iron with Carvalho T and M will also work well in this setup due to its activation time. Equipping secondary supports with the full set of Jingshen Tan instead of T and M with Isaac Newton B should prove to be a better combination. Placing the set on a Blood Dance wielder will also make a good secondary support. In boss battles, having Thunder Kikaku on the Divine Prayer, preferably with the Hausha of Thunder as the main DPS, would also work really well. All in all, while Fallen Rosemary can work well both in the Memorial Arena and the Abyss stages, she is very much geared towards the Abyss. Being a support who spends more time on the field than usual, she can also double up as a sub DPS while gathering enemies and setting a stage for the main DPS to switch back in. The delayed activation of the Trickster's attack, which in turn delays the triggering of an additional Time Fracture and Quantum Implosion, can make for a very interesting rotation.
データでもしましょうか。奇形の神のささやきを聞きましょう。